As the Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within, do not seek it without." Yet when sadness fills our hearts and loneliness weighs heavy on our minds, we often forget this truth. We search outside for comfort, chasing distractions, people or possessions, hoping they will heal the emptiness inside. But Buddhism reminds us that the real remedy lies not out there, but here within your own mind and heart. When you are sad and down, it is not a sign of weakness. It is an invitation to return to yourself, to breathe, to let go, and to rediscover the peace that never leaves you. Today I will share with you remedies rooted in Buddhist wisdom, gentle, timeless practices that can turn sorrow into strength and loneliness into awakening. 1. Accept the presence of sadness without resistance. Sadness is not your enemy, even though it often feels that way. Most of the time, when sadness comes, we panic, we push it away, or we try to cover it up with distractions. But Buddhism teaches that suffering is not a punishment, it is a teacher. It comes into your life not to destroy you, but to guide you, to reveal something about yourself that you may not see when everything is easy and happy. Think about it. If you cut your finger, you feel pain. That pain is not there to torture you. It is there to tell you that something needs care and attention. In the same way, sadness is a signal from your inner self that there is something in your heart or mind that needs healing. If you keep running away from it, ignoring it, or pretending to be strong when inside you are broken, the sadness grows heavier. But if you stop for a moment and say, "Yes, I feel sad. This too is part of me right now," you begin to take the first step toward healing. When you accept sadness, you stop fighting a war inside yourself. Fighting your emotions is like trying to hold back the ocean with your bare hands. It only makes you more exhausted. Resistance adds a second layer of suffering on top of the first. The sadness itself may be painful, but resisting it with anger or denial doubles the pain. Acceptance, on the other hand, is like opening a window in a dark room. Suddenly, there is space for light to enter. You don't have to like sadness, but you can allow it to exist without judgment. Sit with it, breathe into it. Notice how it feels in your body. Is it heavy in your chest? Is it tight in your throat? Simply watching sadness with gentle awareness allows it to soften, little by little. This is why Buddhist monks often meditate on their emotions. They don't try to erase them, they try to understand them, and through understanding, the emotion slowly transforms. Remember, clouds may darken the sky, but they never erase the sun. In the same way, sadness may cover your heart, but it cannot destroy the peace and strength that are already within you. When you stop resisting sadness, you discover that underneath it, your true self remains untouched, steady, and full of light. 2. Practice the healing breath. Breath is the bridge between your body and your mind. When you are sad or overwhelmed, have you noticed how your breathing changes? It becomes shallow, fast, or even stuck in your chest. This is why in moments of sadness, you often feel heavy, suffocated, or restless. Your body is carrying the burden of your emotions, and your breath mirrors that struggle. Buddhism teaches that one of the most powerful remedies for emotional suffering is to return to the breath, calm, slow, mindful breathing that brings you back to the present moment. The Buddha once said, "When you watch the breath, you watch life itself." Every breath you take is a reminder that you are alive right now, that life is still flowing through you. When sadness weighs you down, you may feel trapped in thoughts of the past or fears of the future, but your breath is always here in this exact moment, waiting to guide you home to yourself. Try this simple practice. Sit down in a quiet place, close your eyes if you like, and place one hand gently on your chest or stomach. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Feel your hand rise as your lungs fill with air. Hold it for just a second, then slowly exhale through your mouth, letting the breath leave your body like a soft wave returning to the sea. As you exhale, imagine releasing a little bit of your sadness with that breath. Do this again and again, slowly, gently, with kindness to yourself. With every inhale, you invite calmness, freshness, and life energy into your body. With every exhale, you release tension, heaviness, and emotional weight. This rhythm of breathing is not only a physical act, it is also a spiritual cleansing. You are teaching your body to relax and your mind to slow down. Over time, you will notice that the storm inside begins to quiet, just as a lake grows still after the wind passes. Breathing mindfully is not about escaping sadness. It is about giving your heart the space to heal. When you focus on the breath, you gently shift your attention away from painful thoughts and into the present moment. And in the present moment, sadness has less power over you, because sadness thrives in regret of the past or fear of the future. But in this exact second, as you breathe in and breathe out, you are safe, you are alive, you are enough. This is why Buddhist monks and practitioners begin their day with breathing meditation. They know that breath is the anchor that keeps the boat of the mind from drifting too far into storms of worry and despair. When you return to the breath, you return to peace. So the next time you feel sadness rising in your chest, pause, close your eyes. Take one deep breath, then another, and remember, in the rhythm of your breath lies the rhythm of healing. 2. Practice the healing breath. When sadness presses down on you, your mind fills with heavy thoughts, and your body begins to carry that weight. You may not even notice it, but your breathing becomes short, shallow, and restless. This is why you feel so tired, so drained when you are sad. Your energy is stuck because your breath is stuck. In Buddhism, the breath is not only air moving in and out, it is life itself. It is the bridge between the body and the mind, the doorway to peace when everything feels overwhelming. The Buddha taught that when we bring our attention back to the breath, we bring our attention back to life. Think about it. The past is already gone, and the future has not yet arrived, but your breath is always here now. It is a constant reminder that no matter what sadness whispers in your mind, life continues to flow through you. As long as you are breathing, there is hope, there is healing, there is a way forward. When you feel overwhelmed, try this. Sit in a quiet place, place one hand gently on your stomach, and simply notice your breath. Do not try to control it at first. Just watch it, the way you might watch waves rising and falling in the ocean. You will see that even when your mind feels stormy, your breath is steady, always coming back, always present. Then, slowly deepen it. Inhale through your nose and feel your stomach rise beneath your hand. Hold for just a moment, then exhale softly through your mouth, as if you are releasing a gentle sigh. Imagine your sadness leaving with that breath, like dark smoke dissolving into clear air. The power of breathing lies not only in the physical calm it brings, but also in the message it sends to your mind. I am safe. I am here. I am alive. Each inhale is a gift of renewal. Each exhale is a chance to let go of pain, fear, and heaviness. With time, the storm inside begins to quiet. Your chest feels lighter, your thoughts become less sharp, and your heart begins to rest. Monks often begin and end their day with breathing meditation. They know that the breath is the anchor that keeps the ship of the mind from drifting into the dangerous waters of fear, regret, or despair. By returning to the breath, they return to peace. You don't need hours of meditation to feel this. Even a few minutes of mindful breathing in the middle of your sadness can make a difference. So the next time loneliness or sorrow sits heavily in your chest, do not fight with it. Instead, pause and breathe. Feel the air enter your body, refreshing you like a cool stream. Feel it leave, carrying away your tension. The more you practice this, the more you will discover that peace is never far away. It is hidden in something as simple, as powerful, and as sacred as your breath. 4. Release attachment to how life should be. One of the greatest causes of sadness is not always what is happening to us, but what we believe should be happening instead. We suffer when reality does not match our expectations. You may tell yourself, "My life should look like this by now. This person should treat me this way. My journey should be smoother, easier, happier." And when life doesn't follow that script, sadness grows. Buddhism teaches that much of human suffering comes not from the world itself, but from our attachment to rigid ideas of how the world ought to be. Imagine holding a rope tightly, so tightly that it begins to burn your hand. The pain is not in the rope, it is in the grip. In the same way, suffering often comes not from life itself, but from the way we cling to an imagined version of it. The more tightly we hold on to should, must, and why not, the more pain we create for ourselves. Letting go doesn't mean giving up on your dreams or desires. It means loosening the grip so you stop wounding yourself with unrealistic expectations. Take a moment to reflect how many times has sadness entered your life, not because of what actually happened, but because of the story you told yourself about it. Perhaps you expected a friend to always understand you, a loved one to never disappoint you, or your career to unfold exactly as planned. When those expectations were not met, sadness and anger rose up like fire. But life was never the problem. It was the clinging to a fixed picture of life that caused the suffering. In Buddhism, this clinging is called tanha, craving, attachment, or thirst. It is the desire for things to be different than they are. The remedy is not to stop caring, but to practice acceptance. When you release the need for life to always match your script, you discover the freedom to embrace it as it is. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you can ask, "What is life teaching me here?" This small shift transforms sadness into wisdom. Suddenly, challenges become lessons, disappointments become redirections, pain becomes an opportunity for growth. Think of water flowing down a mountain. If it meets a rock, it does not complain or demand that the rock move. It simply flows around it, continuing its journey. If you try to resist the rock, insisting that life move exactly as you wish, you exhaust yourself. But if you release the attachment to how things should be, you flow like water, gentle yet unstoppable. Releasing attachment does not mean becoming careless or passive. It means opening your hands instead of closing them. It means trusting that life, with all its unexpected turns, still has wisdom to offer. The moment you let go of how things must be, you make space for how things can be. You begin to see new possibilities that your sadness once blinded you from. So when you find yourself sad because life isn't unfolding as you expected, pause and ask, "Am I holding on too tightly to an idea of how things should be? Can I soften my grip and allow life to show me another way?" In that gentle release, you will find not defeat, but freedom. You will feel the weight of sadness lift, not because life has changed, but because your heart has learned to stop fighting against what is. 5. Practice compassion. First for yourself, then for others. When sadness enters your life, one of the harshest voices you often face is not the world outside, but the one inside your own mind. That inner critic begins to whisper, "You are weak. You are not enough. You should be stronger than this. Why can't you handle it better?" Instead of healing, these thoughts deepen the wound, turning sadness into self-blame. This is why Buddhism teaches that one of the greatest remedies for emotional suffering is compassion, beginning with yourself. Compassion is not pity, and it is not about making excuses. Compassion is the simple yet powerful act of treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer to a dear friend. Imagine someone you love sitting in front of you, crying and broken. You would never scold them or tell them they are worthless. You would place a hand on their shoulder. You would speak gently. You would remind them they are loved. Why then, when it is you who is hurting, do you offer yourself harshness instead of gentleness? The Buddha reminded his followers, you can search the whole world for someone more deserving of your love and compassion than yourself, and you will not find that person. This means that compassion is not selfish, it is essential. When you place your hand on your heart and say silently, may I be free from suffering, may I be at peace, you are watering the seeds of healing within yourself. This is known in Buddhism as metta, or loving kindness meditation. It begins with you because only a heart that knows kindness within can share it without. Once you extend compassion to yourself, you will find that your sadness becomes lighter, the loneliness begins to soften, and then something extraordinary happens. The compassion you offer yourself naturally flows outward to others. You start to look at the people around you differently. You realize that everyone in their own way is carrying pain. The person who was rude to you at the market may be struggling with grief. The friend who seems distant may be fighting their own inner battles. With compassion, instead of judging or resenting, you begin to see their humanity. This outward compassion dissolves loneliness because it reminds you of a universal truth. Suffering is not yours alone. It is part of the human experience. Every tear you have cried has also been cried by millions before you. By wishing others peace, you strengthen your own. Compassion becomes a bridge, turning isolation into connection and sadness into shared humanity. Another powerful practice is to silently repeat phrases of kindness during moments of pain. When you feel broken, say to yourself, may I be gentle with my heart. May I learn to heal. May I find peace. Then, extend it outward. May all beings who feel lonely tonight find comfort. May all who suffer find relief. May all hearts be at peace. This practice softens the edges of sadness. It replaces self-criticism with self-kindness and replaces isolation with connection. Compassion does not erase pain instantly, but it creates a soft bed for your suffering to rest upon, making it easier to carry. So when sadness rises, begin with compassion for yourself. Speak to yourself as you would to a beloved child, with patience, gentleness, and love. Then let that compassion ripple outward, like circles spreading across a pond, reaching others who are also struggling. In this way, compassion becomes both your shield and your medicine, protecting your heart and healing it at the same time. 6. Remember the impermanence of all things. One of the deepest truths in Buddhism is the understanding of impermanence. Nothing in this world lasts forever. Every joy, every sorrow, every moment of your life is in a constant state of change. When you are happy, you want it to last forever. But it doesn't. When you are sad, it feels as if the pain will never end, but it too passes. The seasons change, the flowers bloom and wither, the waves rise and fall, the day turns into night, and night again returns to day. Impermanence is the rhythm of existence itself. When you are caught in sadness, it is easy to believe that your pain will last endlessly, that this heavy feeling will always remain. But look back at your life. Remember times when you thought you would never heal, never smile again, never move past the pain. And yet, here you are. The sadness from years ago has shifted, the wounds have scarred over, the storms have passed. This is the proof of impermanence. Nothing stays the same, not joy, not sorrow, not even you. The Buddha taught, everything that has a beginning has an ending. Make your peace with that, and all will be well. This teaching is not meant to make us hopeless, but to give us freedom. It means that when sadness comes, you do not need to fight it or fear it, because you know it cannot remain forever. It will rise, it will reach its peak. And then, like every wave in the ocean, it will fall away. Think of the sky on a stormy day. Dark clouds may cover the sun, thunder may roar, and rain may fall heavily, but no storm lasts forever. Sooner or later, the sky clears, the sun returns, and light fills the world again. Sadness is the same. It may feel endless in the moment, but it is only a passing weather of the mind. Beneath the storm, your inner sky remains vast, clear, and unbroken. By remembering impermanence, you loosen your attachment to both pain and pleasure. You stop clinging desperately to happiness, knowing it will change, and you stop fearing sadness, knowing it will pass. This gives you balance. You learn to ride the waves of life without drowning in them. In moments of deep sadness, repeat to yourself, "This is temporary, this too shall pass." Let these words become a mantra that softens your fear. Each time you remind yourself of impermanence, you take away a little of sadness's power. You begin to see your emotions as visitors, coming, staying for a while and leaving. You are not your sadness, just as the sky is not the storm. Buddhist monks often meditate on impermanence by watching nature. They see how a flower blossoms beautifully, then slowly withers. They do not mourn the flowers fading, because they understand that the beauty was always meant to be temporary. In the same way, they do not cling desperately to their own joy or despair. They embrace it fully, knowing it will change. When you accept impermanence, sadness becomes easier to carry. You no longer feel trapped, because you know every moment is only a chapter, not the whole story. The pain you feel now is not forever. It is simply one page in the book of your life, and soon you will turn to the next. So when sadness feels endless, pause, breathe, and remember, nothing in this world remains as it is. Just as the winter eventually gives way to spring, so too will your sadness give way to peace. And in that understanding, even in the darkest times, you can hold a quiet hope in your heart. 7. Turn your pain into the path of awakening. In Buddhism, suffering is not seen as a curse but as a doorway, a chance to awaken to deeper truths about yourself and about life. When pain comes, most people see it only as a burden, something to escape or erase as quickly as possible. But if you look closely, suffering can also be a teacher, shaping you into someone wiser, softer, and more compassionate than you were before. The pain that once felt like a chain can, with awareness, become the very key that frees you. Think about the lotus flower, one of the most powerful symbols in Buddhism. The lotus does not grow in clean, clear water. It rises out of the mud, out of the dark and dirty waters, yet it blossoms into something pure, beautiful, and untouchable by the dirt beneath it. In the same way, your pain is the mud that nourishes the flower of your awakening. Without the mud, the lotus cannot bloom. Without your struggles, you would not discover your hidden strength, your compassion, your ability to grow. When you are in deep sadness, it may feel meaningless, like a punishment you don't deserve. But what if instead you asked, "What is this pain trying to teach me?" Maybe it is teaching you patience. Maybe it is teaching you how to let go of control. Maybe it is teaching you compassion for others who suffer. In this way, pain is not wasted. It becomes part of your spiritual practice. The Buddha himself did not awaken by avoiding suffering, but by looking directly into it. He saw sickness, old age, and death, and instead of turning away, he used that realization to seek truth. He discovered that suffering is not the end, but the beginning of liberation. When you sit with your pain instead of fleeing from it, you begin to understand its causes, and when you understand, you can transform it. Consider how a broken heart, though deeply painful, often teaches you the value of love more than anything else could, or how a great loss, though heavy with grief, can remind you of the preciousness of every moment you have. Pain, when seen with awareness, deepens your humanity and makes you more awake to the truth that life is fragile, temporary, and therefore infinitely valuable. Turning pain into awakening does not mean pretending to be happy when you are not. It means allowing your suffering to open you instead of close you. Many people let pain harden their hearts, filling them with bitterness or anger, but you can choose differently. You can let pain soften you, making you more compassionate, more present, more alive. Every tear that falls can water the seeds of wisdom within you, if you let it. When sadness overwhelms you, whisper to yourself, "This is my teacher." Instead of fighting your suffering, allow it to guide you. Notice how it points to what you are still attached to, what you still cling to, what you still fear. Then gently work on loosening that grip, step by step. In this way, every painful experience becomes part of your path, carrying you closer to peace. The greatest truth of Buddhism is that the path to awakening is not separate from your suffering. It is built from it. Just as fire can destroy, but also purify gold, suffering can break you, but it can also refine you. The choice is how you meet it, with resistance or with awareness. If you meet it with awareness, then even your darkest nights can lead you toward the light of awakening. So the next time you feel sadness, remember this is not the end of your journey. It may be the very beginning of a transformation. Like the lotus that rises from the mud, you too can rise from your suffering and discover a strength, a wisdom, and a peace that you never knew was within you. 8. Cultivate gratitude, even in darkness. When sadness and loneliness take hold of your heart, it often feels as if everything in your life is heavy, broken, or missing. The mind becomes fixated on what you have lost, what you lack, or what went wrong. This is the nature of a suffering mind. It narrows your vision until all you see is darkness. But Buddhism teaches us another way. Even in the middle of pain, you can turn the mind toward gratitude, and by doing so you invite light into the shadows. Gratitude does not mean denying your sadness or pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It means choosing to notice the small gifts that still exist, even when your heart aches. The Buddha often spoke of appreciation, seeing clearly the conditions that support your life right now. Think for a moment you are breathing. Your lungs rise and fall without effort. The air that fills your body is a miracle, shared by trees, oceans, and the sky. That breath alone is something to be thankful for. When you sit quietly and practice gratitude, you begin to see that even in sorrow, you are not empty. You may have pain, but you also have shelter, perhaps food, the presence of the earth beneath you, the warmth of the sun on your skin, or the sound of a bird in the distance. These simple things, which often go unnoticed when life feels heavy, are treasures that remind you life is still here, supporting you. In Buddhism, gratitude is considered a medicine for the restless mind. Why? Because the mind that counts blessings cannot be swallowed by despair. Imagine you are in a dark cave with only a small candle. At first, the darkness seems overwhelming, but even a single flame begins to push the shadows away. Gratitude is that candle. The more you practice it, the brighter the flame grows, until the cave of sadness is no longer suffocating. A powerful practice is to keep a daily gratitude reflection. At the end of the day, write down 3 things you are grateful for, no matter how small. Perhaps it is the kindness of a stranger who smiled at you, the comfort of a warm cup of tea, or the strength you showed simply by getting through another day. When sadness says, "You have nothing," your gratitude list quietly responds, "I have enough." Even great teachers and monks, who faced wars, exile, and loss, leaned on gratitude to carry them through suffering. They would bow in thanks to their food before eating, to the earth before walking, to the rain for nourishing the crops. These small acts of acknowledgement built resilience in their hearts, so that when sorrow came, they did not collapse completely. They had trained themselves to always see a reason to bow, even in difficulty. Gratitude also softens the loneliness of the heart. When you give thanks for others, your parents, teachers, friends, or even strangers who unknowingly shaped your path, you realize that your life is woven from countless acts of generosity. You are not as alone as sadness makes you feel. You are the result of connections, visible and invisible, past and present. The truth is, gratitude and sadness can exist together. You can cry and still give thanks. You can grieve and still whisper, "I am grateful for this breath, for this moment, for the love I once had." And when you practice gratitude, even in the middle of pain, you begin to notice that sadness no longer has complete control. Gratitude opens a window and light gently enters. So the next time you feel consumed by sorrow, pause and ask yourself, what is still here that I can appreciate? It may be small, but it will be enough. Gratitude reminds you that even in darkness there are stars, and sometimes looking at just one star is enough to keep moving forward. 9. Find strength in mindful action. When sadness settles in your heart, it often paralyzes you. You may feel stuck, unable to move forward, trapped in endless circles of thought and worry. Your mind tells you, do nothing, stay in the pain. This is the trap of sadness. It convinces you that you are powerless, but Buddhism teaches that even the smallest mindful action can begin to free you from heaviness. The key is not grand gestures, but simple steps taken with full awareness. Mindful action means doing ordinary things with extraordinary presence. It could be as simple as washing a dish slowly, feeling the warm water on your hands, noticing the bubbles, breathing calmly as you move. It could be walking outside, feeling the ground beneath your feet, noticing the air against your skin, and hearing the sounds of life around you. These may seem like small acts, but when done with mindfulness, they bring you back into the present moment, away from the storm of restless thoughts. The Buddha once said, "When walking, walk. When eating, eat." This teaching may sound simple, but it carries profound wisdom. When you are fully engaged in the action before you, sadness has less room to dominate your mind. You are no longer lost in regrets of the past or fears of the future. You are anchored in now. Think of it like being caught in quicksand. The more you struggle and thrash around with heavy thoughts, the deeper you sink. But if you make small, careful movements, you create space to rise again. Mindful action works the same way. It prevents you from sinking deeper into despair by giving your mind a gentle focus. You may believe that to overcome sadness you need to accomplish something huge, like fixing your entire life overnight. But that is not the Buddhist way. Liberation does not come from forcing big changes all at once. It comes from taking one step, then another, with awareness. Water does not cut through stone by force. It shapes it slowly, drop by drop. In the same way, your small mindful actions, repeated daily, slowly carve a path through sadness. When you are overwhelmed, choose one gentle action. Make your bed mindfully, folding the sheets as if you are caring for yourself with each movement. Drink a cup of tea, mindfully, paying attention to its warmth, its taste, its comfort. Light a candle and sit with its flame for a few moments, breathing with it. These small intentional actions remind you that you are not powerless. You can still choose peace in each moment. Over time, these small mindful actions build resilience. They become anchors, rituals of healing that keep you steady when storms rise. Instead of drowning in sorrow, you find that you can walk gently through it, step by step. And with every mindful act, no matter how small, you remind yourself, I am alive, I am capable, I am here. This is the strength that Buddhism teaches, not the strength of ignoring sadness or pretending to be unshakable, but the quiet strength of being fully present, fully human, and fully alive, even in moments of pain. So when sadness tries to freeze you in place, do not wait for the perfect moment to heal. Take one mindful step, perform one mindful action, and in that single act, you will already be walking the path out of despair. 10. Seek refuge in silence and stillness. In today's world, when sadness strikes, the first instinct many people have is to run from it. They reach for noise, for distractions, for endless scrolling, for anything that will keep them from sitting alone with their feelings. Yet, this constant noise only buries the sadness deeper, allowing it to grow in silence while the surface is covered with temporary escape. Buddhism teaches the opposite. When sorrow weighs heavily on you, the greatest refuge is often not found in distraction, but in silence and stillness. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is healing. In silence, the mind begins to settle, like muddy water left undisturbed, until it clears and becomes transparent. When you sit quietly, without forcing, without running, without filling the space with noise, you give your emotions a chance to breathe. You allow yourself to see clearly what is happening inside, rather than being swept away by endless thoughts and reactions. The Buddha often retreated into forests, mountains, and caves, not because he hated the world, but because he understood the power of silence. In stillness, the mind becomes sharp and clear, like a mirror. You begin to notice the patterns of your sadness, the stories your thoughts are creating, and the way your body carries tension. Without silence, these remain hidden beneath the surface. With silence, they rise gently into awareness, where healing can begin. Stillness does not mean you must be physically motionless all the time. It means learning to quiet the inner noise that constantly shouts inside your head. It means allowing your breath to guide you, slowing your racing thoughts, and learning to rest in the simple awareness of I am here. In the beginning, stillness may feel uncomfortable. You may notice sadness more strongly, or feel restless. But if you stay, if you breathe and allow, you will find that stillness is not an enemy. It is a safe space where your pain can finally soften. Even a few minutes of silence each day can shift your heart. Imagine waking up in the morning and sitting quietly before the sun rises, listening only to your breath. Or imagine walking in a park without music, without words, simply noticing the trees, the wind, and the sound of your footsteps. These moments of stillness create space for peace to enter. Silence also reveals something profound. Underneath all the noise of your thoughts, there is already calm. It has always been there, waiting. Sadness is like a storm that disturbs the surface of a lake, but the depths of the water remain still. When you practice silence and stillness, you touch those depths within yourself. You discover that even when the surface of your life feels chaotic, there is a place inside you that cannot be shaken. This is why monks and practitioners dedicate themselves to meditation in quiet spaces. They know that true strength is not found in constant doing, but in learning to rest in being. When you are sad, the temptation is to run. But if you can pause, if you can breathe, if you can rest in stillness, you will see that sadness is not as solid as it appears. It rises, it passes, it changes. In the silence, you begin to see that your true self is larger than your sadness and cannot be destroyed by it. So when loneliness and sorrow weigh heavily on you, seek refuge not in endless noise, but in silence. Find a quiet corner, close your eyes, and allow yourself to simply be. Let the stillness hold you the way a mother holds her child, with patience, with safety, with love. In that silence, you will remember that peace has never left you. It was only hidden beneath the noise. 11. Share your burden through compassionate connection. Sadness has a way of convincing you that you are utterly alone. It whispers that no one can understand, that no one would care, that you must carry the weight of your sorrow all by yourself. And so many people withdraw, hiding their pain behind silence or false smiles. Yet Buddhism reminds us of a profound truth. Suffering is universal. Every being in some form experiences sadness, loss, and despair. You are not alone in your pain, even if your mind tells you otherwise. The Buddha himself taught that life is marked by dukkha, the experience of unsatisfactoriness, struggle, and suffering. This is not to make us hopeless, but to remind us that we are all connected through this shared reality. To suffer is to be human, and because suffering is universal, healing also becomes a shared journey. When you open yourself to compassionate connection, you discover that your burden becomes lighter, not because it disappears, but because you no longer carry it alone. Think of how, when someone listens to you with full presence, your heart feels lighter. The problem may remain, but the act of being seen, of being understood, creates space inside your chest. In Buddhism, this is called kalyancha, the noble friendship. These are the people who do not try to fix your sadness with quick answers, but who sit with you in it, like a calm candle in the darkness. Their presence itself is medicine. Sharing your burden does not mean you must reveal everything to everyone. It means finding a safe space, whether with a trusted friend, a teacher, a family member, or even within a community of practice, where your sadness can be spoken and met with compassion. Sometimes even writing your feelings in a journal or speaking aloud in meditation is a form of connection. It tells your heart, I do not need to hide. I am allowed to be as I am. But compassionate connection is not only about receiving, it is also about giving. When you extend kindness to others who are suffering, your own sadness begins to shift. Suddenly, you are not drowning in isolation. You are participating in the great web of humanity. Helping another does not erase your sorrow, but it transforms it into a source of strength. You begin to see that your pain has given you empathy, that your wounds make you more capable of understanding the wounds of others. This is why many Buddhist teachings emphasize service, generosity, and compassion. When you sit with someone else in their sadness, without judgment, you are not only helping them, you are healing yourself. Your loneliness dissolves because you realize you are part of something larger, something shared. Imagine sadness as a heavy stone. Alone it may feel impossible to carry, but when others place their hands beside yours, the stone does not vanish, yet it becomes bearable. And when you in turn help someone else lift their stone, both of you grow stronger together. This is the quiet miracle of compassionate connection. So when your heart feels heavy, resist the voice that says, hide. No one will understand. Instead, take a small step toward connection. Share your truth with someone you trust, even if it is just a few words, I am hurting, or extend kindness to another, even when you are in pain yourself. In that act of connection, you will find that sadness loses some of its power. Buddhism teaches that we are like candles. One flame can light 1,000 others without losing its own brightness. In the same way, your act of sharing, whether it is receiving compassion or giving it, creates light that spreads far beyond yourself. And in that light, the shadows of loneliness grow weaker, replaced by the warmth of shared humanity. 12. See sadness as a passing chapter, not your whole story. When sadness lingers, it often convinces you that it defines you. You begin to believe, I am my sadness. This is who I am now. My life is nothing but pain. This is one of the greatest illusions of the suffering mind. Buddhism teaches that no emotion, no matter how strong, is your permanent identity. Emotions are visitors, experiences that arise, stay for a while, and pass away. They are chapters, not the entire book of your life. Think of a storm passing over the ocean. For a time the waves are violent, the sky is dark, and the wind is fierce, but no storm has ever stayed forever. The clouds eventually part, the sea calms, and the horizon clears. In the same way, your sadness is a storm. It feels overwhelming while it is here, but it is not the whole ocean of your being. The depths of who you are remain vast, steady, and untouched, even when the surface is turbulent. The Buddha often reminded his followers to view all things as temporary and conditioned. Thoughts arise and vanish. Feelings swell and fade. The self you believe to be solid is, in reality, always changing. This understanding can free you, because if sadness is not fixed, if it is only a chapter, then you know with certainty this too will pass. When you identify completely with sadness, you lose perspective. You stop seeing your strengths, your joys, your possibilities. But when you step back and say, "This sadness is here, but it is not all of me," you reclaim your power. You realize that while this chapter may be painful, the story is not finished. Many more pages remain unwritten. Imagine holding a book in your hands. If one chapter is filled with sorrow, you do not throw the whole book away. You keep reading, because you trust that the story will continue, that light will return. Your life is the same. Sadness is one chapter, perhaps an important one, but never the final word. Buddhist practice encourages us to observe our emotions with mindfulness, as if we are watching clouds pass across the sky. You don't cling to them, and you don't push them away. You simply see them for what they are, temporary weather in the vast sky of your awareness. This way, even in sadness, you remember, I am more than this moment. I am more than this feeling. Another way to shift perspective is to reflect on times you have suffered before and healed. Perhaps you once thought you would never recover from heartbreak, loss, or disappointment. Yet with time, you grew stronger, wiser, more compassionate. Each past sadness became a chapter that eventually gave way to new growth. This reminder helps you trust that the sadness you feel now will also transform. Seeing sadness as a passing chapter does not mean dismissing it or pretending it doesn't matter. Every chapter has value. Even painful ones shape your journey, deepen your character, and teach you lessons that joy alone could not provide. Sadness has its place in your story. It softens your heart. It makes you humble. It allows you to connect with others who suffer. But it is not your identity, and it will not last forever. So when you feel consumed by sorrow, gently remind yourself, this is a chapter, not my whole story. I am more than my sadness. My story continues. In that moment of perspective, you loosen sadness's grip. You begin to see hope on the horizon, even if only faintly. And as the days pass, as new moments arise, you will look back and see that this chapter, though painful, was only one part of a much larger journey, a journey of growth, healing, and awakening. Sadness and loneliness may feel like heavy shadows, but Buddhism teaches us that they are not permanent prisons. They are simply passing teachers, reminders that life is always changing, and that within suffering lies the seed of awakening. Each of the 12 remedies we explored is not just advice, but a practice, a way to walk gently through sorrow without letting it consume you. You learned that by accepting sadness instead of resisting it, you stop fighting with yourself. By returning to the breath, you create space for calm. By seeing your connection with all beings, loneliness dissolves into belonging. You discovered that by releasing rigid expectations, you free yourself from unnecessary pain, and by cultivating compassion, you soften your own heart and the hearts of others. You learned the wisdom of impermanence, remembering that no storm lasts forever, and the power of transforming pain into awakening, like the lotus that blooms from mud. You saw how gratitude can bring light even in darkness, and how small mindful actions anchor you in the present moment. You remembered that silence and stillness hold deep healing, and that by sharing your burden through compassionate connection, you realize you are never truly alone. Finally, you understood that sadness is only a chapter, not your entire story. These remedies are not about escaping life's difficulties. They are about meeting them with courage, awareness, and wisdom. They remind you that you are stronger than you think, more connected than you realize, and far more resilient than your sadness suggests. So the next time you feel down, remember, you are not broken, you are simply human. Let your sadness guide you, not define you. Breathe deeply, walk gently, and know that this moment too will pass. And when it does, you will rise not only healed, but transformed.